so.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? No motion?
I move we accept the minutes.
The second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So we're supposed to set the 2020 meeting dates. I assume we'd like to stick with the same day of the month.
Yep.
Is that agreeable with everybody?
Yep.
Is that fine with staff?
Yeah, I think there was one date around Thanksgiving or Christmas that we might have to adjust, but other than that.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion for that, or? Okay. Motion?
Is that the third Thursday of the month? I'll make a motion to keep the meetings on the third Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock.
Or is it the fourth? Fourth.
Normally.
Right.
There you go. At 6 o'clock.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know we have election of officers also listed, but I would suggest we tell everybody's here. Or we could do that by email. Does that have to be in a public forum like this?
I think we can make our.
Okay. All right. On to unfinished business. Alexander Circle. You're first. How are you doing here?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Back again to talk about light fixtures.
Almost there, man.
Almost there. Almost there. Slogging through the mud.
Nice progress, though.
Yeah,
good.
done well. The Duke is finally come through. We have power and heat. There's sanding floors and it's coming in.
So now,
Probably the first people moving in April.
great. So will Duke have anything to do with this lighting
Nothing,
other than powering it?
not even that.
Okay.
We don't want them,
It's all
we
private?
don't want Duke anymore.
Okay.
They've messed up things enough.
Right.
They're horrible. They're horrible. But we're past that. These will all be
Turn the
private.
microphones up.
I don't even care. And they don't care either. They don't care either. These will all be private.
Yeah.
They're not, and they'll all be on a photocell. They're LED and they're private, and we've distributed 12 of them, so 12 of the people will have one of these on their though we've distributed to, I think it was Gail's request to put 2 along the path out at the edge, or put some lighting out there, so we've added a couple of fixtures. At first I was throwing a fit about them, and I wanted the city to do them, and Ron said he'd do them, but we couldn't figure out reasonably how to power them, how to meter them, so I said, we just do it. And so we added those, so there's some light out there along the path. I could not get photometrics. This company, Kitchener, I couldn't get any photometrics.
What's the approximate spacing?
About 100 feet. So they're pretty good for street lighting. And we'll have them up, the concrete base will be up 6 to 8 inches, and then it's a 10-foot pole, and then this fixture, which is 25 and a half inches tall. So we didn't want them quite as high as out on nor as bright, and we thought these related to what you have out there, but they were a little more slender.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed a little. I thought the proportions were a little more residential, a little more. So
these are LED,
yes,
and do you know what the color is?
3,000 K, and it's about 800 lumens. Fairly bright, but we didn't want them too bright because they're so close to the houses many times.
You said 800 lumens?
Yeah.
How much are you relying on the concrete base being that tall? And would you be okay if that was only 3 or 4 inches?
Sure. I don't care, we just wanted to get it out of the way of the trimmers and
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, you need some height, but, I don't know, that was one of my questions.
We can adjust the grade, we'll have to adjust the grade around them anyway. Sure. Keep them a little, concrete a little.
Are they poured yet, or you still have to pour?
No, we haven't, we wanted to make sure the location, everything, the whole thing was approved first. This is the last trench to dig.
It probably look nice from out the head, like concrete.
I know.
Exposed.
Usually we recommend like 3 to 4 inches. That's okay with
Yeah,
that?
because we're not trying to stop a car or.
Right.
No, it's
You
it's
okay
a
with-
15-mile-an-hour driveway for 15 houses.
Yeah, and the car hits one of the big posts on it.
Right.
And they're a foot or two in from the sidewalks.
So we'll say 3 to 4 inches?
Sure.
Anybody have any comments on the pole or the fixture or anything like that?
I mean, my biggest concern was the color and intensity, and I think that it seems like it's a good choice. You know,
And everybody's okay with the layout, the new layout? Okay. Any additional comments or considerations from you?
No, just like I said, it's on the homeowners.
Okay.
Then the association will maintain these?
The individuals will maintain it.
And it is it's a black post and a
Yes.
black,
Yes, yes.
all right. Any motion?
I make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second?
Oh, sorry, do we want to say that they need to be 3 inches?
3 to 4 inches.
Oh, sorry. I make a motion to approve with the bases modified to being 3 to 4 inches.
Second it?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, everyone.
Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
All right, next, we have the whole team here.
Yes, again.
For One Highland.
We're gonna miss you. Thanks for coming to our moving meeting. We appreciate it because we're on a schedule that we could keep. Thanks for coming to the groundbreaking. It was a lot of fun. It was good to see some neighbors there from Woodland and also all the people from council that showed up, and just the general interest of the project was growing now that we've been able to get our excavation permit, and we'll mobilize on Monday, so you'll see some action. The guy doing moving all the dirt behind the school where the park is from Loveland, or from here. It's Loveland Excavating, but he actually lives here, so if you call him if there's any complaints about kids almost getting run over by these trucks. We're gonna move a lot of dirt. For 6 weeks, we'll be moving dirt off that site down to the area that you wanted the dirt to use for your park. So, another update, our 50% CD set is done, as you know, and we've applied for a foundation permit. So we hope to get that and get started with the foundation right after excavation. So by the end of March, early April, we should be starting to build something. And then our commercial interest has been good. We've been moving forward with trying to figure out how to sell the commercial space on the first floor. We just think it's a better way to get some people that are committed to the long-term viability of this project rather than merchants that turn over all the time. And we're getting some really good interest in that regard. And we're also making some progress on phase 2. We'll have some more updates on that soon. So here's the team. We have some outstanding issues that you know about. We want to respond to each of those things. And hopefully after this meeting, Kevin will be able to move forward with a certificate of appropriateness so we can keep on this schedule now that we've launched. So I'll let Sari step you through.
Yes, hello.
It's not all right.
My name's Sari Lehtinen. I'm from MA Architects. We're 1404 Ray Street, Cincinnati, Ohio. And we've been designing this building for Greiwe. And looking forward to the time that I'm here, so good to see you all. And we want to give you a little update of what we've been doing. Obviously, think on the architectural side, no surprises, nowhere really, but it's like, I think the biggest progress is probably in the landscaping and signage is finalized. So I'm just going through the packet that was submitted to you, and some of these drawings are a little more technical than others, less interest maybe here, but I'll try and be quick here, just to do an overview. So as you maybe remember, we have a building that has a garage, full garage underneath it, and the entrance to the garage is off Woodland Avenue. So here's Woodland Place, and Highland Avenue over here, and then Fort Thomas at the bottom of the picture here. And so north is to the right on the screen. And so this is 44 spaces of parking, garbage room, all that kind of good stuff. And I think one of the things that we've been working hard to keep the utilities in a kind of a somewhere nice, and what we've achieved now with Duke after much interaction was to get electrical meters indoors. So they are placed here in the garage wall. So as a result, we had a little 3 gang of windows here to the garage just to kind of add a little interest, but I thought it was a good trade-off to get the meters inside. I took the window out, and now we're good to go with that. We will see the elevation later. First floor street level elevation, similar to before. We have the through building access here, parking obviously in the back, Fort Thomas Avenue here in front, corner tower with a little terrace here, covered walk. All these spaces here are the commercial retail spaces, and we have 2 residential units as the Highland Avenue slopes down here, residential lobby and elevator and all that, and the entrance again from this gallery out here. And just for your reference, there's a 2nd floor of residential units, and also a 3rd floor, which is partial. So at this Woodland Place and here, this is only 2 stories high, and then we have the 3-story building here, just as we've been showing you before. Roof plan, so we have a flat portion in the middle of the roof. We have a screening parapet, so that our mechanical units are screened from sight from the street. And our exterior elevations that you've seen before also, we have 2 colors of brick, masonry, like a stone concrete product that's an ashlar pattern stone, cast stone, and we have a fiber cement board that's painted dark green. And just for reference, we showed you the samples already last time for the materials, but we have placed them here for your convenience and reference, and then we have 2 new samples for pavers that will be covered later with Martin's presentation. The rear elevation of the building also, and all the little intricacies of corners and whatnot. I can show you the 3D model if you're interested in looking at that, but I'm just kind of going through the documents here. And we have a couple of shots of the model in our construction document set. And just let me know if you have questions. I'm going to breeze through it. This is here's a typical gable and kind of a trellis situation. A balcony rail. It's very basic metal guardrail. And then we have a tower with a little detail on that. We're stepping back that masonry as we've discussed previously. Some details that may or may not be of interest, a little bit technical. Here's the Galleria interior elevation. So I'm not sure if this is in your area of interest. But we're extending a kind of like colonnade pattern in, and then thinking of making it outside. It's like masonry and cedar trellis, and inside it would be like cedar columns, cedar ceiling, and that sort of switch of materials when you come from inside to outside. Storefronts, windows, all our window types. And so we come to the landscaping plans, and I will let Martin take it from here.
Is it this or is it all right, so Martin Kepke, landscape architect, Marymount, Ohio. This is pretty much, we're moving in the direction of a planting plan. It's really just a forward movement of the concept plan that we all reviewed last time. And So, let's see if I can,
Press that red thing in it.
okay. Press what?
There.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't read
Yeah,
there, but
okay.
there it probably is.
Let me just do the mouse.
Okay, do the mouse. It's top.
All right, so can everybody see the mouse on the screen here? Yep. All right, so we still have the hedge back here, which is a large evergreen, green giant juniper, arborvitae, basically a big green wall is what it is, and it's 30, 35 foot, and we've got them tightly spaced so that it'll be a pretty good screen almost immediately. And then in front of it, sequentially, we have these little garden expressions of most of it's perennials. There's no real annuals or anything. And although those kinds of areas can change over time as people want to garden and so forth, and then flowering trees in front. So we've got an edge to this far edge of the parking lot has remained exactly as is. Because this is regraded in here, we have to kind of replant the hillside right there. I'm using grow low fragrant sumac, some Norway spruce, and I think this is a blood good London plane tree, and these are flowering crab and lawn. And then we've got lighting that's coordinated with that space. Moving this direction, just like we had before, we've got a park-like setting here. We've created some big, we've made it look like you can't really just easily walk up here, but we do want to have a lot of, we want this to feel a little bit more like a lawn, like a yard, if you will. But so there's a connection there, but you're met with a fairly dense globe arborvitae hedge that we're intending not to let it grow into a singular hedge. So we've really limited the, if you do want to cut up here, you're only going to do it once because you got to go the long way around. So I think we've addressed that. The rest of the planting in here is just to really create a nice garden, backyard kind of look and a park-like space from woodland. One of the other things we're doing is keeping the lawn on both sides of the sidewalk all the way to the corner so that it has that residential street appearance all the way to Highland here. We're using shrubs and tall plants to screen utilities. We're using the upright horn beams and some junipers for articulating and we'll see that in some elevations in a minute, to articulate the architecture that Sari has created. Using some larger evergreens to create some privacy for some of these terraces that could feel a little bit like they're in a fishbowl right there. As we move around in Highland here, the planting gets narrower, so in between the hierarchy of the building, we're just creating plant material that has some pedestrian seasonal interest along Highland. Moving into the main feature of the front of the building, which is the terrace area, we've got the walls, we've made those wider, and we've allowed for 6 feet between the end of the wall and the public planting, which are these little islands, these little kind of islands of planting here. And I really like these because here's our front door, and as you're leaving the front door, this is kind of a nice way to, not just be looking at a parked car or something else, so it's a real nice thing to have at that location. Same here, it just gives you, it has that sense of separation between someone sitting here eating or drinking something and cars, so just the more stuff between those two spaces, I think it really worked out nicely.
And the walls are benches.
And the walls, the seat walls here are
Yes.
seat height,
Yes.
so we're keeping them at 24 inches because I just don't think the 18 inches is tall enough to space defining enough. And 24 inches is still usable for a seat and not as easily just walked across either or jumped across. In here, so I think the 4.5 is a nice size for that opening there. We've centered the trees on the columns, between the columns here, on the street trees.
Yes.
Just zooming to the front there.
I don't know how to do that, girl.
If you hold shift.
Oh, that's what it is, okay.
Well, we have it print out.
Okay, so we're going to go.
Okay, but you can see here that's changed a little bit from the last version. I decided that the space was too big just to have one singular hedge in there. It's now just a boxwood hedge that defines a small ground cover area and some planting that pokes up above the hedge. I think it's a lot nicer. It'll create more of a space when you're in the colonnade too. I think it'll really work well. And moving along to the side between the two buildings, because we don't really know what's happening with phase 2, we're keeping that kind of simple right now. But grading and layout and site is ready for phase 2. The planting that we've decided to do for the parking is all ready for phase 2. I guess let's move to the, so here you can see a little bit what I was talking about with the using long-art plants for the embracing the architecture to some degree. If you want to see how that actually works, and if you're in Marymount, drive by any one of the projects that we've done in Marymount. Not that this is Marymount, quite frankly, it's a lot nicer. We actually have a room that facilitates this kind of presentation. You can see a building that has used that kind of articulation of plant material that supports the building. So I've used evergreens where in front of the storefronts, where you want more seasonal kind of plant material, and and because they're storefronts, and the taller plant materials like the horn beams over here and over here, they got enough space to be a little taller, and you can see the benches there with seat walls are in the image, and then around on Highland down here you can see the kind of faked in what that might look like, because it's mostly planted in that spot. And the grade is tipping down a little more, I think, than what that alludes. The upper one just really, I wanted to just show that there's a lot of green space there visible from that side on the woodland end. And what we're doing is, what I'm proposing to do is kind of grab that corner of the building, push some masses of plants out into that space, and let that grass kind of meander up the hill into the parking lot, and just be a nice transition from the neighborhood front lawns to this project. So that's pretty much. There's the evergreen tree at the corner here that is, the one larger tree that I think, and this can be years before it gets to that big, but eventually that would be a way to have those terraces have some privacy. We've got vines on the trellises.
What is the vine?
Well, we're wrestling a little bit. Right now I've got it as
I didn't see one. Is there one on the list?
Yeah. It should be right towards the bottom. Maybe it got cut off. This planting plan is a.
So it's wisteria.
Yeah, right. We have, what is it? What's the height on to the bottom of the trellis? It's quite.
I think it's 10 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of space in there. I think it's more than that.
And it may be more.
Yeah, because you're 10 feet.
And we were lifting it from 10 from somewhere 11, 12.
Yeah, I think 12 feet to the terrace, so there's plenty of room for the wisteria. This is the paving pattern plan. The dark stone is the A, the light blue, and it's not much lighter, but it actually is. Unfortunately, the two, because of the gradations that they have in this, they look kind of close, but there's quite a bit of difference, enough difference. But the A is the darker and B is the lighter. And C is just a different size, but it's the lighter. And the reason it's a different size is because in the drop-off area, we wanted an 80mm paver for heavier traffic and so forth.
So it's the wrong color here, but it's the range, kind of like the idea. This is the product. So it's the paper that
Uniblock.
that didn't have.
This one?
Yeah. It's the gray one and the dark one. And
What's the pattern?
It's
we do a kind of a running bondish.
It's all running bond. You can see kind of
Thirds.
It's a 16 by 16 square by the columns and at the front door and the back door, and then it's a running bond 8 by 16 in the rest of it. So it's an oversized paper.
And it's something that has a kind of a wear surface that's what is it, like something like creates up an inch or something. So it's like it won't fade immediately. It doesn't have chamfer, so the corners, so it's a nice kind of a flat look.
Yeah, you'll never see the rock in the concrete, because there's a very big way of worship on here.
Yeah.
It's a straight edge, so you can be nice, it'll look more like, it won't look like you're getting into the concrete pavement.
So, polymeric sand joints? Or?
Yeah, okay.
And we have like a heavier thickness in the C area, that's vehicular traffic, so that's a little different size. I think it was 7 by 14, and it's an 80 millimeter paver, and
Right.
the A and B are both 17 millimeters.
And that's the lighter?
Yes.
C is lighter.
Yeah.
And the field, the B field is lighter. The only thing that's darker is the A, and that's because we think we can match that this color more going through the building.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing like a stained concrete in the area, in this walk area here, and also for this balcony and terrace here. So that's kind of going to be our balcony finish for the exteriors. And so that ties into the Galleria, ties into these paved areas, the color of the A paver.
And this was the next one.
Next.
Oh, here's just a section of the design section of the seat wall. It's 18 inches wide at the coping, 16 inches in the wall depth, in the wall width, and the 24 inches. So I'm proposing we hold the stone down to low grade so that we don't see concrete, and we can use a mortar that's below grade mortar quality and do that.
So we're doing in the building too. So I just wanted to point
We're
that
matching the stone in the building.
Right.
Is that, is it real stone or?
No, it's this stuff, Paris craft. But the cover is, the top is.
Oh, the top is it's a piece of 1.5 inch flag, snapped edges, no saw cuts. So it'll have a real rich.
Where you're burying it, is it, regardless of being a culture product, is it like something that's gravity set, or is it actually still sort of a glue-on?
It's a concrete foundation, and we'll use mortar, and it's going to be 4 inch.
What's the
Yeah,
it's 4 inch.
Okay.
And it's these seat walls over here, and there's also one kind of at the back, like over here between the buildings.
Yeah, right there. We have one right there too. And that side yard may have some changes depending on what we see in phase 2 building, what their needs are. We may have another visit here. But right now, I think here's, so lighting, we're trying to keep the far edge of the parking lot illuminated. We're trying to keep lights off the building, so when you're leaving the parking lot, heading towards the building, you're not looking at, what looks like low-flying aircraft coming at you. So, we want to keep the lights in the parking lot, have bollards up close to the building, keep the lighting at a level that's very residential, not high retail lighting, and enough lighting that you feel safe still.
Yeah, so the idea is we have this like walk here, has these low bollards that are 3 feet tall, and also here at the back, at the drop-off area, and at the building entrance, both sides. And then we have this 16-foot tall light pole here.
So do those cut out at a certain time, or are they motion sensor?
They're probably on photocells.
I would imagine that's photo cells, yeah.
So there's 2 bollards shown here. Which bollard are you using?
We have, okay, so,
I don't know if we've selected it yet exactly.
yeah.
But it's going to be in that. It's going to be one of those two. Do you have a preference?
We could go with this design decision. It's like we're kind of looking at something pretty simple, and this is kind of like this is the aesthetic of the whole light.
Right now, we don't know where there's a fixture like this. We're going to see it first before we commit to it. I think we're pretty committed to it, but I want to see it in use before I commit to it final. But I think right now, all the specs I haven't gotten on it, the angle of cutoff is good. The lenses are recessed. It's we're on a low pole, so I think we should be pretty good.
So if you pick that one on the left, what is that triangular material?
That's probably a lens in there, and the other one just doesn't have the lens.
Right.
That's my guess.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that's a lens? Yeah, I would take a close look at that.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
One of my goals, Chris, is not just to make sure there's no impact on the neighborhood, but also people buy units on the backside. So that's why there's poles. When you look at your window at the second floor, I want the light be on the lot, not
abolish there.
Nor do we want to have the streetlight patterns on the walls inside, shining through the windows. So we're trying hard to make it very residential in appearance.
That's why I was wondering if, like, after business hours, if the pole lights might even go, lower, or be only on,
So certain hours, maybe the business hours.
Yeah, I'm just
Like
curious.
10 o'clock.
That would be great, actually.
Yeah, as long as everybody, as long as you guys are happy.
I think that's.
I think
something
we're
that
overlooked as a
the city
population
they
anyway.
need to weigh in on since
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really their lot.
Mhm.
Way, so.
And I think that the revision that we had we submitted a week ago to you guys, a set of preliminary documents, which are almost all good, but like for the lighting, we did a little revision. We earlier had some light fixtures that were mounted on the building, but we got rid of those. It seems like it's nicer to keep them attached.
Yeah, that was causing some anxiety.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
just,
everywhere, I think.
back to the bollard, I would just be careful with that lens.
Yeah.
It attracts a lot of attention and maybe unnecessarily.
Yeah, maybe we go with a more abstract one. That's cool.
It's a little cleaner and sound.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I think the key is with where the light is thrown, that it's dark, that it's the right height, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the color and finish of the light.
Right now, we're looking at a kind of a silverish color, but we're open to some sort
I thought it was black.
Oh, yeah, I think it is black.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
that's a
Says
more
black.
common standard.
Right, the full Thomas color.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is.
Black, and I think our color is 3,000.
just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, the color of the light, the color of the lamp will be 3,000.
And then we do have a trash enclosure that is actually, I can show it on the side plan first. It's in this back corner. The planting plan maybe do it best. It's over here. And it's kind of out of a necessity. We were looking at how to arrange the commercial trash. And so making it as little invasive as possible. And it is proposed as a lighter structure. We're doing it kind of like barn construction. So there's like poles that are either solid cedar or they're fiber cement clad posts, and then panels in between. And we'll have gates that have self-closing hinges.
Any particular color or finish?
Yes, we're matching the building, and we have this color here. And the height of that thing is 7 to cover up the trash container. And then we have signage packet here. I am just going to be really cursory about it, actually not really going through it either. It's kind of taken from last time when we looked at it to a little more detail, but I think the real issue here was the parking sign here. So just to kind of quickly familiarize and remind what was going on, we had the building identification here at the corner on Fort Thomas and on Highland. We have building identification signs here at the D locations, and then we have hanging signs for tenants, this red area, and at the end, tenant, he gets one at the face of the building. We have building identification on the poles here, and some storefront mounted signage. And so the sign that was discussed last time as potentially non-conforming, and I think it's a matter of interpretation. Chelsea was on our signage package, has had a lot of discussions with Kevin. And so the smaller parking sign here, located at the drive entrance to the parking here, is done to the strictest interpretation of the code. And we propose that a little larger sign would be placed there, just so it kind of serves its purpose a little better. And I'm not sure, Kevin, where this lands in their interpretation. Is it non-conforming, or is there a way of saying the sign is still within the guidelines?
I think I found a way that we can make it work if it, is of the pleasure of the design review board to, approve that. Basically, as a freestanding sign versus a parking sign, there is other elements, such as the one Highland representation there under the P for parking that can kind of sway that interpretation as exclusively a parking sign. So I am not so over a matter of a foot. I don't know that it's something that I'm gonna hang my hat on as far as being opposed to it when I can find another interpretation, as long as the design review board is comfortable with that modification.
Is that a two-face, a double-face sign, or a single-face sign?
So you can see it from both directions?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of nested behind the corner of the building, the future Phase 2 building.
Yeah.
No, I think,
Yeah, it is. It's kind of, you can't see it very well from, a better location, Chris, would probably be on the north side of that parking entry. And maybe we can get squeezed in there with Schon's permission. The city's going to do some work, actually, for them on that hillside. They're going to bring it back so it's more visible when you come around the bend. So when they do that work, maybe we can figure out how to nest that north. It's right, not on the left-hand side, but the right-hand
Oh,
side.
you go on this
So
side.
you can see it better.
Yeah.
Move it up towards the sidewalk more.
I know there's going to be a wall on that other side, right?
There's going to be a retaining wall, that moves the hillside back so you can see the entrance better. So maybe we can incorporate that into the work.
Kevin, is there anything driving the setback of that sign off of the edge of the
I
sidewalk?
mean, typically setbacks are 5 foot off for any sign. The only other thing would be visibility, that obviously would be of any concern. If it was put on the other side, obviously that, where it is located there, wouldn't be a visibility issue because it's tucked back behind the line of the building. But if we were to put it on the other side, the only caveat would be visibility, which obviously we wouldn't want to put, they wouldn't want to put it anywhere that it's going to be some sort of hindrance as you're pulling out.
Right, so it'd be set back now so you can pull your nose up to the sidewalk, look left.
Yeah.
So
And that's the idea of the 5 foot.
Yeah.
I think you can slide that towards the sidewalk and move it very close to the sidewalk and still see it from, keep it on that
I'm
side.
just wondering if you wanted to, maybe this is a crazy idea, but would you want to turn it? So you see the P equally from both directions and line it up with the face of the building?
Would that be, that's an
would that be
option, but I
more
think
visible?
what I can, Chris, maybe what I can do is look at it in scale a little bit
Yeah.
and see, because that's a diagrammatic blue thing there.
Sure.
I mean, so, look at it in scale on plan, and it may be that we can slide it just, I guess, to the east there. And,
I'm just worried about being able to see it from this direction.
Yeah.
behind the building.
Yeah.
But if we bring it all the way to almost all the way to the sidewalk,
Still have visibility.
you still have visibility, and you're not putting it in someone else's front yard too. But I think, Chris, you could turn it too as well.
Yeah, if we run out of space, I think turning it. I think the idea was that you would see it from a longer distance, but obviously if your building is in front of it, it's like that.
Right.
So.
I mean, I like nesting it next to the building because it makes that larger scale
Yeah.
feel better.
Well, the building will still be pretty close.
Right, this is not like Beachmont Avenue where we're trying to find just a destination in all these signs. Everybody knows what it's going to be. I mean, this is going to be a local destination, and the sign we're trying to put some technology in it so we can tell you how many spaces are available. So you don't go back there and find a full parking spot. That wasn't one of the main purposes of the sign.
Yeah, I mean, we're having a lot of conversations right now about district parking, and this is part of the district
discussion.
parking. And so being able to guide people there, whether they're going to your shops or whether they're going across the street,
Yeah.
right?
System forward. So whatever you want that P to look like fits into your district system.
Right.
It's the shape, it's the color
Right.
of the P that is also signing other public locations, and then we'll put the logo on the bottom. But so let's coordinate. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the larger scale if the visibility is good and if it's coordinated. So maybe we defer that, one particular item, until there's a little more study, or I don't think that holds up your
No, not
COA or
gonna
anything, but
have this sign for another year.
any other presentation material, or
No,
can we
I
ask
just
questions?
concluded here, yeah, you can ask questions.
Okay. So, let's move through this somewhat systematically. You threw a lot at us.
I know, but at least you've seen it before.
Yeah. So let's maybe talk about the architecture first. Any questions or comments about the building? I know,
Yeah, with Shane losing the one window on the roadway there, but along Woodlawn, I thought that was nice, but I can understand certainly not wanting to have the meters outside.
Yeah, I think the trade-off is great, you know, and actually you can landscape this area and all that, but it was nice to have the windows there. On the other hand, I think the garage lights are always on, so maybe not the thing that you want to shine into the neighborhood anyway. These other windows that are here go into a storage locker area, so that can be dark, so it doesn't have to shine into the neighborhood.
yeah, I think as long as it's planted well in front, which you have some good layering in there. It looks like you added the railing section that we talked
Yes,
about.
yes.
So that addressed all the outstanding railing issues that we had. Is that true? So, and your little seating areas on the corner that are integrated with the columns, do those have the same caps as the seat walls out on the site?
I was picturing those to be cast on cap, but it's a good point that they might want to be the same material, really, and tied
Seems like
together.
they want to be related.
Yeah,
But I think the outside could be the cast stone too, just to,
Yeah, yeah,
That's kind of where I was going.
yeah, right.
Maybe the outside should be the cast iron.
Yeah, maybe we do that.
Yeah.
Just kind of go with that.
It's a little smoother and nicer to sit on.
Yeah,
Is that
that's great.
good?
I like that idea.
Okay. Any other architecture questions or comments? Okay, we'll move to the plantings. Any questions or comments from you guys on plantings?
Will the trees on the street, will they affect parking on the street as far as opening a door or?
well, we're going to have to, they may jiggle around a little bit as soon as we get some engineering on parking and what other hardware has to be on the street. And then we're going to have a final look at that and see where we end up. Right now, we're hoping that the design can be engineered to work rather than, you know, the other way around.
But it's a good idea to strike the parking spaces so it's not lined up with your doors that have trees.
Yeah, and you're defining where the bump out
Yeah.
at the one end begins and ends,
Yeah,
so
that's a good idea. Let's make sure we do that.
Yeah,
coordinate that with parking spaces.
Right.
Good commentary. So I like the way you coordinated them with the architecture.
right. So we just got to wait for some engineering to see
Yeah.
what's in the streetscape too.
You can tell Jeff that.
There's not a planter on the tree.
No,
It's just,
it's a hole, it's a pit.
It's your standard.
Underground.
Excuse me, if I may, from a zoning standpoint, the landscaping, I did not do a full, have the opportunity to do a full review as far as compliance with our zoning. However, just very preliminarily, it seems compliant. But that would be my only, if you do choose to make a motion on this aspect, part of the stage 2 submittal is a full landscaping plan that I would review from a zoning perspective. So it really wouldn't affect that. I'd still have to review that for compliance, but perhaps a caveat.
And the city's actually building the street tree section. They're rebuilding the curbs that were, they've been damaged and put the trees in and the poles back because they've all been removed. So we're going to coordinate the contractor that's going to be doing that. I mean, they even saved the bricks to bring those back, so they're in a warehouse somewhere. So we'll make sure that's coordinated.
what will the width of that, where the trees are going to be planted, what's that, the width of that dirt area? You got curb and then planting area, sidewalk.
Yeah, it hasn't changed, and the width hasn't changed. It's exactly the same width it was. It's a 4-foot pit.
Yeah, that's there currently, and I believe that's your standard.
It's a casual standard.
Right.
That's what has been used in the past.
We'll use the same trees as you do the rest of the street. It'll be all the same. Same thing with garbage cans that the city uses. We're waiting to find out what that standard garbage can is. We're not putting any benches up. We're going to sit, we're going to be on the corner plaza, find some.
So just a few questions, comments. So in the front of the building, in the bump out, there's a Winter King hawthorn.
Yeah.
A little concerned about that. I
Because
love
of the
Winter King
thorns?
hawthorn.
Because of the thorn?
No, because of how low branch.
Yeah, we actually would not want it limbed up. We haven't, I've used them before in places like this. I just like the berries in the wintertime. We got such mild winters, it's kind of nice to see something in a
You
tree.
might go to your elevation real quick. So.
That's the tree behind.
I know, but if it has a companion out in the bump out, because that's a Winter King too.
No, the other one's a sweet bag, I thought.
Oh, is it a sweet bay? Okay. I get a little concerned about low branch visibility.
For
What's that?
visibility of what?
Well, your signs on the building,
Oh.
visibility with
It
pedestrians.
doesn't have to be a tree in that location, actually.
No, I like the tree.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the species. We've been using higher branched trees in the bump outs at intersections
Oh, you have them.
for better visibility.
What have you been using?
In the lace bark elm.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty much just a tree.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that one I would consider a taller, higher branch species like the lace bark.
Could it be like a river birch or something like that, or is that maybe not, maybe a little too messy? But,
Honey locust?
huh?
Honey locust?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was the other one, Chris? Honey locust or what else?
lace bark elm.
Park.
We've used mostly lace bark elms in the bump outs like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they've done really well.
Yeah. That's a tree that does really well everywhere we put it.
Right.
So I'm fine with that.
Okay. And then the spruce on the corner, around the corner.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah. So right now that's a Norway. Do you think that space is large enough to accommodate a Norway?
Well, actually, after I drew it, I thought maybe what I'd spec is a Serbian.
I would be much happier with that. Yeah. Okay. Same kind of tree,
Yeah.
just small.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
narrower, same height. Really.
Right. Okay. Good.
Smaller, narrower.
Narrow. Yeah. It looks like the same tree. It just stays small. Can you go back to the plan? So in the back parking lot, one of the points of discussion was that area with the lawn going down the hill.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about at least one of those trees being an evergreen.
Yeah, I still don't want to do that. Because just like the idea of that evergreens filling up that space at the corner, I didn't want to fill up the yard with an evergreen mass. I want the lawn to really, from those units, I want to have that more backyard. A lot of these people are coming in from homes, they have backyards, and I want to still have a backyard feel. It's a small space, Chris.
I'm talking about that one tree at the top, where the drive aisle at the top of the hill.
On that.
That one right there.
Yeah, we got evergreens right behind it.
As cars drive down that drive aisle, those lights are shining over towards the homes.
This is a globe arborvitae hedge right there, which will be that tall, so it'll block all the headlights. I just don't want to fill that space up with an evergreen mass. I just really rather have that lawn leak out and be more yard-like.
Maybe pick something like a white vine that you can run up.
That hedge was designed for two reasons. I want to make sure the person sitting on their balcony
Yeah.
right there, 102 right there, cannot see the parking lot. And then I want to make sure the lights, like you said, coming, making that turn, dropping people off or making a delivery doesn't shoot into the neighborhood either, or into that unit.
Well, the same is true for them looking over at the parking lot and the lighting and all that. I just think having an evergreen up there won't change the nature of that lawn and everything rambling up the hill.
Not for years, but eventually it will.
Yeah.
Spatial feel of it, like, so here we have a wall, here we have a little wall, and then we have like more kind of transparent.
I guess I'm really not in the mood to debate that. I think that's a recommendation.
That's what?
That's a recommendation. The other thing I would say is the miscanthus that you have there in front of that.
Yeah,
I mean, anymore, miscanthus is considered an invasive species.
I can switch that out. In fact, I was thinking, after I drew it, and this is, like I said, this is a work in progress, this is our first draft, we're at 50%. So, you know, although the concept is, you know, the massings aren't going to change, some of these plant materials may change a little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought it really should be some other grass and like a switchgrass or something like that. But I was thinking of putting maybe massing some purple beautyberry in front of it instead of all grass.
Yeah. No, I think you have a really rich palette of plants, and I compliment you for that. And I like the idea of an ornamental grass mass there, but something other than miscanthus. I like the height of that too. It's just, yeah. We've had a lot of problems with that spreading.
It'll take a while to get rid of that bamboo that's
Yeah.
growing behind there.
And those are really my only concerns or comments. I think it's a really strong plan.
Good, thanks.
Move on to the paving. Any comments or questions on the paving?
When you've got that section C out in the parking lot, what is the base material going to be? Are you guys setting that on concrete, or is it going to be just asphalt set or sand? Or?
I am not completely clear what the detail of that is, but it's like, I think we have a concrete base for everything.
We're working with the engineer, and they've recently gotten our design layout for the site. They'll be coming back with some, you know, we've given them criteria that we're trying to meet. Certainly, all of the pavement, that's the C pavement, will be about have a flush curb retaining whatever we're doing in there. If it's gravel, for sure. So there's, you know, if it's on concrete or some other material, we may not do the flush curb, although it still makes a nice edge.
I will be able to support heavy projects.
Yeah, I think for your benefit, Rick, owning and operating things, having a concrete base under those pavers will.
I think that's.
Hold up better.
Trucks, we'll be stopping them.
We can make a note to check with them.
It costs a little bit more upfront, but
Concrete base,
good question. Anything else in paving? Some nice choices. Lighting. You know, I would just encourage you to choose the one bar without the lenses.
That's fine.
Simple.
Is there a minimum requirement on how much light? I mean, the lower the light level, the better, as far as I'm concerned, but it still creates safety. But is there a minimum? You can't go below?
I'll have to check the code on that. You know, when you present your stage 2, I can give a more full evaluation of that. There may be, I don't know.
Because we're going to do some architectural lighting too, making sure that that's coordinated. So, hey, the architectural lighting doesn't look like home around, which we're not going to do. And making sure that parking lot color doesn't conflict too much with the architecture lighting.
That's one if we don't make it too cold. I think we've got limits to.
I know we often use a 1/2 foot candle minimum. Okay. Any comments on the signage or questions? Thank you for eliminating the hanging lights. Lori was concerned about those in particular.
On the building, yeah.
Yeah.
They were not a favorite here either.
No, the signage package, I think looks pretty good, other than the parking sign resolving that.
Okay.
right. Thanks for all your hard work. So do we want to try to articulate a motion?
We ain't that volunteer you.
Okay. Make a motion to approve as submitted with the following provisions. There were no architectural provisions, right? Okay. So these are landscape provisions. That the street trees are coordinated with the parking spaces. That the tree in the bump out be changed to a larger species like lace bark elm. That the evergreen at the corner be changed to a Sardine spruce. That one of the trees near the parking lot, top of the hill, be switched out as an evergreen. That the proposed miscanthus grass be changed to a non-invasive species. And then with the paving provisions, if we're just talking about a concrete base under the pavers in area C. And lighting provision, the bollard without the limbs is preferred. And then the signage, we will defer the parking sign decision for further study and coordination with city district parking. Now, I threw a lot at you there, Julie. Okay. Team effort. Did I miss anything?
I think you're good.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mark seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. So you're approved. Just a few little details.
Great pleasure working with you. Yeah. Thanks.
Likewise.
We got some good ideas and appreciate your collaboration.
All right. Look forward to seeing it come out of the ground.
That's our way. A little slow start.